Tonight we're going to start installing the sPOD. Probably won't finish it all, but it'll all be in one video. Right now I have my switches right there. So I'm going to take those two switches off. The sPOD goes right up here. I'm going to take those two switches off, replace them right here. I'm also installing an ARB compressor and a rear locker for the project axle over there. Alright, so I switched these out with the red switches for now. They're still hooked to those lights, but I'll probably hook seat heaters up to those eventually, so there's not just an empty hole. Now with these, I'm putting this style switch, just mix matching them all. I'm going to eventually get all the same style switch, but they're easy, they just clip right on. And that's the order I'm going to do it. Bumper lights, windshield lights, probably rock lights, that's an open switch for now. Compressor, I don't have a front locker, but I'm going to save that spot for one. And then the rear locker's right there. The first step the instructions say is to take this plastic header off. There's 5 clips behind it, so you just pull straight off. Now we're going to go replace that with the aluminum one. The instructions say to remove the passenger side sun visor, so we're going to do that. And then loosen this A pillar here. You don't have to remove it, but just loosen it. That just takes a Phillips head for all of them. Next up, we're going to install these clips into the horizontal spots there. So what you do for this is you angle one end, and then you will push the bottom of this with a flathead screwdriver until it pops into place. So I'm going to do those right now. Alright, all of those are in now, so we're going to screw that header piece into these, and that'll tighten up and pull against it, and it'll make it all sturdy. Now we are installing the header piece, and you want to use their screw and lock washer. So you just gotta fish for the hole there. I'm going to get them all hand tightened for now, once I can get this one. Now I just evenly tightened all 4 screws. They don't want you to over tighten it or else those clips behind it will pop out again. I tightened it until it was pretty level with the weather stripping on the windshield, so it has a nice finish to it. Now we're going to feed this wire through here, staying as close to the windshield as possible. So I just pop this top clip off, and I'm going to route it through here, and then I will catch up back to you guys when I do that. I have the wire down here so far. They want you to take your glove box off, which is just pulling this little strap right there, and then you can feed this wire through there, which these are behind your speakers right here. But first, before we do that, I'm going to install my sun visor again quick. Alright, that's what we have so far. Nice central location. So today's another day. Last night I was working on getting my old wiring out for the Vision X and rigid lights up here. I got all that out so far. And soldered in one end here, but I need to hook up the sPOD source against the firewall there to see how much wire I need. And then I'll do the same thing for this. And that's for the bumper lights. The rigid lights are a lot easier. They already come soldered to the 4 wires to the 2. And I just have to trim this to length and then put the new terminals on. That'll plug right in as well. I'm waiting for a 1-inch step bit or a drill. So for this I got here was just taking the glove box off, routing the wire through here, but it'll go below the glove box here under there. And I also have my CB radio connected to my fuse box, tapped into there, and I get some static. So what I'm going to do is take that off, and then I'm going to keep the ground here, but I'm going to take the positive wire and run through the firewall with the sPOD and plug that directly into the battery as well. And I got my old switches completely out and took the wiring off behind them. I just replaced them with the red ones for now. So yeah, I'm gonna go take these heads here to a shop quick, and then I will be back to start working on all this again. So to start mounting the mounting plate to the firewall there, it tells us to remove the 4 countersunk screws. So that are these right here, so that's what I'm going to do, and we will remove the sPOD from this bracket here. Now we're going to start removing the 15mm ground bolts. There's one, right, see where I'm looking at here, right there, and then the other one is over there. So I'm going to do that real quick. So I got the bracket mounted up there. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be at that big of an angle. So whenever I put on the box part of it, I guess we'll see if that looks normal or not. Now I undid the zip ties here, or the twisty ties, and we're gonna install this back onto there. And the battery terminals will go right over there. You want to make sure not to over tighten these screws as well. So I'm still waiting for that 1-inch drill bit, but I started extending the wires. So right through here I spliced and soldered the 2 power wires for the bumper lights into one. Went through here with the rest of my stuff, and then I'm coming around here. I'm going to put loom through here all the way there as well, and have it routed up to here. So I just did that for the one. I'm going to splice together the 2 ground wires for the bumper lights, and that will go in that second slot. And I also plugged in the sPOD into the battery and routed it as best as I could. I got to clean up all this yet, but I'll do that once I have the rigids wired in as well. Finished wiring up the bumper lights here. I ran 2 wires following where the HIDs go, wrapped them in loom all the way to here, to the battery. I need to get new terminals because this is still crowded. One up here, and then all this to the sPOD. I gotta clean all this area up yet. I still gotta do the rigids there, but bumper lights plugged in right there. Now you're gonna drill a 1-inch hole in that area. I have it center punched so you can see where it is. The 1-inch hole is drilled. Now I'm going to put some paint over it, and then we'll feed the wiring grommet through. So for this hole, I just fed the sPOD wire, and I got my CB radio fed straight to the battery now, so there's no more static with that. Last thing I have to do is plug in the rigids into here. I just tied up the ground wire for the CB radio. Now I'm going to put the glove box all back together. Now I routed the rigid lights here, and I cut them to where they are the right length. So I'm going to pull them out, strip the insulator back, and then I'll put the terminals and heat shrink on. So it'll look like that. The rigid terminals are done now. I'm going to slide that through here and plug that in. Those are now plugged in. I'm going to zip tie this up for now. I still have to add in the compressor, so I'll do that tomorrow, and I'll probably add in more wire loom on all this. This is the sPOD with the cover on, so now we have to start the vehicle and turn it back off to activate the system. I have the sPOD all complete. Tomorrow I have to wire up that compressor for the locker and the onboard air. So I will clean up this entire firewall, zip tie everything, clean up the looms, all that. I got my battery charging now because I killed it. But yeah, I mean, everything came out nice. Switches work, like there's windshield lights, bumper lights, lights up there, rear locker, front locker, compressor. That's an open switch. So tomorrow I will be back and wire up that compressor and mount it there. Now everything is wired in. I mounted my compressor. I still have to hook up everything with the solenoids on that and the rear locker. But it's there, it's wired in. Follow the loom going all the way over here. I can't get this plug to connect for some reason. That's, I don't know, it just is not shoving in, so I'll try again on that tomorrow. But I put some loom under the sPOD as well, just because it's right on the valve cover. But follow loom the whole way here. I really need new battery terminals because, you know, it just does not look good, and I don't like the look. It's just too crowded. But everything else came out nice. All the lights work. That's about it. It was a fairly easy install. Everything came out clean. Switches are right up there. I can turn the light on. That wire just follows all the way down here under the glove box. Right up there. They cleaned up the battery a little bit more because I would have had 2 more wires going in here for my lights and I guess 3 for the switches, but yeah, I put my CB radio up to here too to get rid of some static, but I still need to get different battery terminals so that way they have separate posts for the majority of them anyways, because everything that's on this battery needs to be on the battery. It can't go to the sPOD.